Hello and welcome, grade 6 students at Al Tarbiyah Al Islamiyah schools. I'm your teacher, Mr. Hussein Arabi, and oh boy, do we have a super exciting explainer lesson today. We're going to learn how to write a real, actual book. Yep, we'll learn exactly how to take an idea straight from your brain and turn it into a beautiful story you can actually hold in your hands. So, are you ready? Let's jump right in. Let me start off by asking you our big question for today. Have you ever wanted to write a true story about your own amazing life? Well, I believe everyone in this classroom has a very special story to tell. Maybe you took a super fun trip with your family, or maybe you got a wonderful new pet. Today, I'm going to teach you exactly how to write that story down so you can share it with the whole world. Keyword alert. The phrase is personal narrative. So a personal narrative is simply a true story about your life. For example, if you write a story about the day you got a new puppy, well, that's a personal narrative. It isn't a made-up story about aliens or dragons. No, it's a true, real story about you. To get there, we're going to follow 6 easy steps. 1. Finding your best story. 2. Planning your story map. 3. Writing your first draft. 4. Revising to make it better. 5. Editing to fix mistakes. And 6. Publishing your final masterpiece. Let's start right off with step 1, finding your best story. Keyword alert. The word is brainstorm. Brainstorming means thinking of all the different things you could possibly write about. Think of it like a wild storm of ideas happening right inside your brain. For example, when you sit down and list 5 different fun weekends you've had, you're brainstorming. Now think of brainstorming like a big idea funnel. We pour a bunch of memories in at the top. We might pour in a summer birthday party, a trip to the store, and getting a new dog. But then we have to ask 2 very important questions. Do you really care about it? And do you remember the details? The one memory that drops out of the bottom, that is your absolute best idea. Does that make sense? Okay, so to review this part, we learned that finding your best story means using an idea funnel to choose just one special memory. Moving right along to step 2, planning your story map. Keyword alert. The word is pre-writing. Pre-writing is simply making a plan or a map before you write the actual words. So for example, deciding what happens first, second, and third before you even open your notebook, that's pre-writing. Just like a builder uses a blueprint to build a strong house, we use a storyboard to plan our story. We decide exactly what goes on each and every page. First, Mom says we can get a dog. Next, we go to the store. Then we pick out the dog. Finally, we buy toys. Having a plan makes writing so much easier. Pretty cool, right? Okay, so to review this part, we learned that a good plan tells us exactly what goes on each page before we even start writing. Now for step 3, writing your first draft. Keyword alert. The word is draft. A draft is the very first version of your story where you write down all the most important events. For example, that first piece of paper filled with all your messy, lovely ideas, that's your draft. And remember, it absolutely does not have to be perfect. So how do we start our draft? Well, you want to start with a great hook. Think of fishing. You use a hook to catch a fish, right? We use a hook to catch our reader's attention. You can use a loud sound like boom. Or you could use a fun question like, have you ever felt so happy you could cry? This makes your reader really want to read more. After your hook, you need to connect your story events in order. Think of the events like train cars hooked together. We use simple transition words to link them up. Words like first, next, then, and finally. These words tell the reader exactly when things happen. Okay, so to review this part, we learned that your draft hooks the reader and links events together in time order using transition words. All right, step 4, revising to make it better. Keyword alert. The word is revising. Revising means changing words and sentences to make sure your story makes total sense and is super fun to read. For example, changing a boring word like looked to an exciting word like gazed is revising. When you're revising, I want you to act like a creative architect. An architect looks at the big picture of a whole house. Does it look beautiful? Does the story flow well? This is very different from being an inspector. An inspector just looks really closely for little tiny mistakes. But when we revise, we are the creative architect. As the creative architect, you get to use a special method called ARC. A stands for add. You add sweet details and exciting adjectives. R stands for remove. You just take out the boring parts that don't matter. And C stands for change.
You change simple words into amazing words. Okay, so to review this part, we learned that revising makes the story flow beautifully by adding, removing, and changing words.
Next is Step 5, editing to fix mistakes. Key word alert. The word is editing. Editing is when we fix small mistakes so that other people can easily read our story without getting confused. For example, remembering to put a period at the very end of your sentence, that's editing. Now it's time to be that great inspector, and you'll use the SPC checklist to do it. S is for spelling. Check those sight words. P is for punctuation. Ensure every single sentence has an end mark, like a period or a big exclamation point. And C is for capitalization. Always capitalize the letter I and the first letters of all your sentences. Okay, so to review this part, we learned that editing is doing a quality check to fix our mechanical mistakes, like spelling and punctuation. And finally, Step 6, publishing your final masterpiece. Publishing is the best part. It's when we copy our story very neatly in our absolute best handwriting. No more crossed out words. We also add detailed pictures that match our story perfectly. And finally, we make a beautiful professional cover with a great title and our very own name right there on the front as the author. Okay, so to review this final part, we learn that publishing gets our neat, beautiful story ready to share with the whole world. So, let's review our entire lesson today. We learned that writing a true story about your life takes 6 fun steps. We brainstorm the best idea, plan it out, write a draft, acts like an architect to revise it, acts like an inspector to edit it, and finally, we publish a beautiful book. You guys have learned all the steps to build a published masterpiece. So my wonderful students, what amazing story are you going to write today? I absolutely cannot wait to read them.